Hey everyone, welcome to tonight's Healthy Mentality Live. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're feeling it, please make sure that you share this out. You can do that either now or later and help people join this conversation. I am, trying to build this platform to shine a light on men and men that are using GLP-1s for their health journey. Ladies have really been holding it down and leading the way. I have frequently been asked, where are the men at? So I just wanted to create a space for the fellas to give us a voice, to share our stories, and hopefully inspire somebody out there who's watching to take that first step towards better health. Quick reminder, neither I nor my guest tonight are medical professionals. We're not giving medical advice here. We are just sharing our own experiences and perspectives. Definitely, definitely talk to your own doctor before making any health decisions. All right, with that said, I'm really excited about tonight's guest. I've got Jhonhenri joining me, so please let's welcome him to the show. The moment, there he goes.
Hey everybody,
Jhonhenri,
how's it
welcome,
going?
sir. Welcome. How you doing?
Doing pretty well. Thank you so much for having me. Like I said, it's a blessing to being able to get down and speak with the man, the myth, the legend.
Oh, let's see. We got Darium in the house. Welcome, Darium. All right. So, um, can you give me a little bit about your background?
Whew. A little bit about my background. So I guess, quote unquote, started off as a big kid, and so all my life just big, just eating, and then unfortunately it took, I would say, several health scares for me to get my life back together. And so I guess I found myself at my highest weight of 325. I thought I was thriving. I really wasn't thriving. Um, so through that, I decided, because of course, especially as being a man, sometimes you stop going to the doctor as often. So then I was like, let me get my health back together. So I'm going to the doctor, and I'm getting all these results back. I'm like, oh, this stuff is not good whatsoever. And this is kind of where I decided to just go ahead and take my health back. So it was about maybe 2 to 3 years ago. I decided, okay, let's go ahead and start something. So it kind of started off with just activity as to quote unquote losing weight all by myself and trying to get more active. Yeah, that didn't work the best. I'll say it that way. I also found out through this journey is your body has to get regulated in order to lose weight and be able to do certain things. And for example, even be able to just walk or run on whether a treadmill or outside without pain. Your body needs to do a whole lot of things and get regulated in order to do those things. So slowly but surely started addressing each issue that was going on with myself until I got to where I am today. So as they say, I'm in Wonderland now, and lab work is looking a lot better. So went from like I said, went from my highest weight of 325 all the way down to 190. So just trying to thrive and keep going.
325. So that's what, 135 down?
About so I don't know. I'm not doing math, but about so yes.
Yeah. So you said you were 325 was that 325 when you started, or 325 was your highest weight?
325 was my highest weight. So this is my story is never black and white.
Yeah.
Um, my highest weight was 325, but I ended up getting sick and then dropping some weight. So I think when I officially started, I was about 320 or 315, somewhere around there when I officially started the weight loss portion.
Okay. Okay. So what were the comorbidities that you were dealing with? What kind of health issues that you were dealing with that made you want to turn things around?
Well, off the bat, what I knew, well, because my story, like I said, nothing's just black
Not
and
black and
white.
white. Huh?
Off the bat, I knew this, and unfortunately, and so like I said, for men who are listening, don't do what I did. Um, I kept on getting letters. I would say about maybe 3 years prior to me starting my journey as to, hey, you're pre-diabetic, and it's like, that doesn't mean anything. And of course, the doctors are going to say that because we have to be honest with ourselves. When we go into the doctor, they're always going to say, oh, I'm surprised you don't have high blood pressure, or they just automatically say, "Oh, are you on any blood pressure medications?" Even though you don't have high blood pressure, so they automatically assume some things about you because you're a big person. So I just got the letters. I'm like, it's not me.
Right.
Whatever they're trying to put on me, that's not true. Well, it was, unfortunately. So I just kept on creeping up and up and up, but I just kept on ignoring it. So I guess one of the comorbidities was pre-diabetes. Um, and then I can't think about any other ones off the top of my head, but just kind of going through, because like I said, my lab work it wasn't the best. So I just kind of one thing at a time. Eventually, because I had some other things going on. Um, of course, as a bigger person, they always want to blame everything on weight. And so later on down the road, I also found out that it was also a testosterone issue as well. And then what else? I kind of go through my journey. And just, let's see here. I think we are also looking at like some liver stuff as well. But, like I said, taking things one step at a time. So those are just kind of the things that we addressed, the big things along the way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, did you have any fights with your care team in trying to get coverage or get some care in the obesity realm, or were things smooth for you? Did that discourage you in any way? If you
Oh,
did,
everything was a fight. Every single thing along the way was a fight. I learned this that quote unquote you have to break up with doctors in order to fight for your care. So one doctor that I was with ever since I was probably in middle school, he just wasn't understanding because every single time you go in, because I'll say it this way, my mother and I both were seeing him. And so every single time I would go in, he would just tell me some basic stuff when there was an issue. But he would pretty much advocate more for her because he was, I'd say this, but he was more of a senior doctor, come to
yeah,
find out later on. So everything was, oh, you need to lose weight, but you're not giving me the tools. Or, oh, hey, there's this GLP-1, but you're not fighting for the prioritization. You're not fighting for the access. So had to leave him and went to another doctor, and that's when I finally was able to get help. But before that, I went the more expensive route, so I went with a weight loss doctor. It was good while it lasted. I'll say it that way. So we have wonderful people right now like NP to go or Fridays or all these other telehealths.
yeah,
But sometimes when you go to your local places and you're new to the game, you don't realize that you're being taken advantage of price wise. That or some shadiness.
yeah.
So, for example, with all the major telehealths, we get our medications from a compounding pharmacy. That man, it was coming from a small mini fridge. So, I did that for a little while. Like I said, you don't know what you don't know. So did the weight loss doctor for a little while, but then eventually transferred care to someone that actually knew about pre-diabetes and diabetes, and so traced my care over there. But then later on, when it came to addressing the hormones, was addressing that with the urologist, and so kind of went as far as that I could go with that urologist, and then went to another doctor that isn't a urologist, but they have more knowledge when it comes to men's hormones. And that's something that people need to understand is just because someone is a, how should I say, just because they're a professional in something doesn't mean that they're actually good at it. That sounds weird,
Yeah, yeah,
because never would I have thought that someone that is a primary care doctor was almost an expert when it comes to men's hormones. It's odd. So I guess building the care team. So everything was a fight, but I found someone along the way each step in order to tackle whatever fight that I was going up against. So I guess to conclude my message for that is don't be afraid to shop around and don't be afraid to get a consultation because not every doctor is well versed in
yeah.
the things you need.
Yeah, yeah. I think one of the key things that I always say is we have to be an advocate for ourselves. That's something that I've been learning, the last few years. You have to be an advocate for yourself. So if they tell you no, and you know that something's not right, then you have to go out there. It's your job to go out there and find the answer for yourself. That means going to another doctor if you have to. If you have an insurance that allows you to refer yourself, like mine
Mhm.
does, I can refer myself to a specialist outside of my doctor referring me, then take advantage of that. You got to know what your insurance does and doesn't do. Well, before I ask another question, real quick for those of you watching, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments with Q's. I think Darian just pointed that out, and if we have time for Q&A at the end, we'll go through those questions. Um, all right. So tell me about your journey. I think you say you started in, was it 2022 or 2023?
Things kind of overlap. So let's just go ahead and say 20. Let's say 23.
Yeah. And what was your titration schedule like? Did you start at 2.5, or did they start you on another dose? I'm, s-
So once again,
and I'm assuming
I
you're
went.
on you're on Zep right now, right? Or were
I'm
you
on
on
my
Zep when you start? You're on Manjaro, okay.
Yes, sir. Like I said, the clinic I started off with wasn't legit. Like I said, didn't know. Um, so I guess the titration schedule was kind of like a micro dosing that went into regular Monjaro and Zepbound dosing. So I guess at first it kind of started off with just getting your body used to it. So if I can remember correctly, I guess the equivalent that I started off with was maybe, like I said, Monjaro, they don't have these levels. So maybe zero point 0.5, and then what's here, zero point 0.5, and then 1, and then finally getting up to 2.5. And then from those 2.5s, aligning with the regular trizepatide dosing schedule.
Yeah,
Like I said, it wasn't the
yeah,
best. Like I said, you don't know, you don't know.
yeah, exactly. Now you're on Manjaro, so I can't remember. Are you type two?
Uh, on
You
paper,
were
yes, I am.
on paper, okay.
Yes,
So what's
because
managing that?
that's another thing that people need to understand is your A1C does not dictate if you're a type 2. So if you are dealing with a lot of different other symptoms and everything is showing type 2, it's going to be type 2.
Yeah,
So even if you have because I think my highest A1C was a 6.5, but with everything that was going on with me, they're like, hey, this is type 2. So that's another thing that people need to look at their insurance and see as to, okay, my doctor is saying this. It doesn't, especially when you look at I'm going to lie to you about what it's called, the blank blank for diabetes. When you look at their definition for type 2, it's not just an A1C.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Isn't the starting range at 6.5 for type two? Uh,
I'm going
or
to.
was it 6.4 or six? Or I think it's something like that. But yeah, there's a host of things that can go into that diagnosis, though. I feel you on
I
that.
think I lied to you. I think it is 6.4. So I think my highest was 6.4, and then the threshold is 6.5. I believe so. Like I said, not a doctor.
Yeah,
I believe so.
yeah. So when you started, what was your reaction? Did you feel inspired to get out there and see how far this thing could take you, or were you questioning it still?
Well, I'll say this because I documented my journey the entire time, which I kind of laugh about this because I was reflecting on it about this week with my whole journey. I kind of said if it works, it works, but we will see what happens. So um, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, I think what I spent with that doctor was like $300. I'm like, hey, you have an extra 300 laying around. We'll see what's going to happen. So once I kind of saw, oh, something's happening. I don't know what is happening, but something's happening. I see that I'm eating less. Um, of course, with unfortunately, because especially I'm short too. So with all that weight that's on me, I didn't. Only thing I saw differently was how I was eating. But then I went back to that doctor and was like, "Oh, I lost 10 pounds." And then the next time, "Oh, I lost 20." I'm like, "Oh, I guess this is working." So
Yeah,
I guess let's keep going. So I didn't really have any expectation. It was one of those things as to if it works, it works. If it doesn't, hey, at least I tried something. Because a part of the story I'm leaving out is, so I'm a caregiver. So this particular doctor we went to, we didn't go to them for weight loss. He just so happens to be, which I'm just laughing, he's all these things. He's an OBGYN. So, like I said, caregiver for my mom. And then he's also what is he? A different type of pain management doctor. So I'll say alternative pain management doctor. You live in Oklahoma, you don't know. And then also a weight loss doctor. So we were going to him for my mother for alternative pain care, and he just looked at me and was like, "Hey, have you ever thought about weight loss?" So it was one of those things where I'm like, "Hey, I'm hearing things about it. Let me just go ahead and try it." So kind of glad I did. No expectations because I really didn't believe it. If I'm being honest with you, I was like, "Okay, well, all these people get on these shots. Hey, it might not work for me, but we have extra 300 laying around. Let's go ahead and try it."
now, did the doctor, was he knowledgeable about the medication, or is it something that you had to educate yourself on? And was that education then different than what you know now about the medication?
I would say he was That's actually a hard one. Now I get ready to answer. I would say this at the time, because I did not know what I know now. Looking back on it, yes, he is knowledgeable. Him and his staff, which is only like three people in the office,
Yeah.
including him, I would say yes, they're very, very knowledgeable. But when it came to the extra, so when you see, and I need to stop shouting out these telehealth. So I'm not trying to do free promo, but when you look at the Fridays and you look at the MP to goes and the other places, they're giving you a lot of information. They're putting it out into the community. This particular guy, he wasn't just like that. He's more about this, like the basics. But once again, you're three different things. So, like I said, OGBYN, weight loss, and alternative pain medicine. I get it. You can be a professional in everything and be
Yeah.
knowledgeable in everything. So if you're a beginner, yes, they're knowledgeable. Other than that, yeah, looking at it, comparing it now, not really.
Yeah.
Hopefully that made
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because what my experience is, when I started my primary, didn't know anything about the medication. She wasn't actually the one that prescribed it to me. I had to go. I went to telehealth, not a weight loss telehealth, but just I think it's Plush Med, and they prescribed me the medication, and I transferred my care over to my primary and had to educate her. But I was educating myself at the same time. I think I was one of her first patients that was on the medication, and I'm finding today that there are still so many people that are getting on these medications where their primary care provider just don't know a lot about the medication. They're doing crazy dosing schedules, and starting people off at 7.5, and not really explaining the medication, and telling people how to address side effects and things of that nature. So people are coming online to TikTok and YouTube and Instagram to find out what other people are doing to educate themselves. And hopefully some of that information is getting back to these primary care providers as they educate themselves on these medications. But it's shocking that even today, these medications have been out for a few years now, that a lot of these primaries aren't educating their patients. So there's a lot of
And
misinformation going on around about these medications.
yes, sir. Let's talk about that for a little bit. That's something I guess I really don't understand. So, for example, if there's and they say drugs are kind of popular, not well, not illegal, but if there's a popular drug on the market and you're kind of hearing things about it, and some of the patients are inquiring about it, for you to be practicing medicine, you would think you would start researching, or you go to conferences and you seek out more information because that's popular. In my personal opinion, I feel like that's how you can get left in the dust. Is when you went to medical school and you're just relying on all that you went to medical school for, you're getting left behind because there's new things nowadays. There's a new form of drugs on the market. So I can't even tell you which one, but I think there's like a statin. There's been different, to my knowledge, because I could be wrong about this one. There's been different generations of statins and other things. You got to get educated on what's out there in the market. What are your patients asking for? Is there something better out there? So, for example, me personally, when it comes to metformin versus Jardians, I'm always going to say Jardians because it's the newer, unfortunately more expensive,
Yeah.
version. So, get yourself more educated instead of going back to the old school things, because especially some of those old school drugs, it's really not good for you. But like I
Yeah.
said, not a doctor, but when I do my own research for myself, I know that it's not good for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually saw Dr. Swank on TikTok. I think it's a video that she posted today where she was talking about her as an obesity specialist had prescribed medication to a patient, and the patient had hit these health markers and health goals, and their primary was wanting to talk to them about getting off the medication that this other obesity specialist had already had prescribed to them, and was under their care for. And she was expressing her frustration about that. This doctor should know, or at least try to at least talk to the other doctor about, what do we do from here, and understand that these are probably lifetime medications that for most people, as long as they can afford them and have access to them through insurance and things of that nature. But there also needs to be a plan in place that if they don't have accessibility to them, that they have some kind of knowledge to deal with the lifestyle change, things that you need to do to try to mitigate that weight regain after you come off these medications. That's another issue that we're seeing in the community.
And I would like to see more research on that, just to be honest with you, because like I said, I've been on this medication for over 2 years now. Something that's kind of irritated me is, and like I said, I know this is not good. So people who are listening, this is not good, but sometimes you don't want to take your medicine. I'm just being honest with you. You just don't want
Yeah.
to take it. Sometimes you're like, hey, this week I just feel like doing X, Y, and Z. I feel like feeling like this. Because let's be honest with you. Some people, well, let me phrase it. My symptoms are I'm tired. Um, Eating, I can eat, but I'm tired of. You get tired of fighting sometimes. So
Yeah.
it's like when you're having a week where you just really want to be on firing on all cylinders. Sometimes you might skip, but then you realize, okay, I am a bottomless pit of eating. I don't get full. Why is that? So I wish they would do some more research as to, you've been on this medicines for so long, you developed a healthy eating pattern, but once it's kind of out of your system, why am I eating this way? So it's not emotional. It's just that cue doesn't go there. So is there something that can be a long term GLP-1 where that cue can just kick in and it's like, okay, hey, this much food, I'm full.
Yeah.
So, I feel like that's part of the weight gain process is your body still that cue still isn't there. So you're just using it to pretty much you're flipping it on with a drug, but once it's out of your system, that switch doesn't work.
Yeah. I wish there was a, yeah, I'm with you. I wish there was a understanding of why that is. I know these medications are mimicking the hormone in our body, and it's regulating a dysregulation. So hopefully there's something that they can discover where they can fix it on a more permanent or long term basis too. So if people need to come off these medications, they can. That's a good point.
Yes, because
So
I mean, it'll be nice. I mean, like I said, I understand that these can be taken for long term, but some people they're just like, okay, well, how do I get to a point? Because for example, if you're using it for weight loss, you kind of want to get to a maintenance and then taper off and then stop, but that's not realistic, unfortunately. So yes, it would be nice to just kind of say, hey, here's a long term GLP-1. Boom, you eat like a normal person, you live your life, and that's it. But anyway, I'll be quiet.
yeah, yeah, I understand. But another thing that Dr. Swank has said is about the primary trying to get the patient off the medication is we only have that conversation with people that are trying to manage the disease of obesity. If this person was a type 2 diabetic, they wouldn't be talking about taking the person off the medication. It would be assumed that it's a lifetime drug because it's helping to manage something that's out of whack. The same thing goes for the managing of obesity. So I think we need a bigger, deeper conversation about it. And like you said, more studies about the whole thing holistically so we can better understand it.
And I believe something. Like I said, I have weird beliefs. But even when it comes to managing diabetes, if you're way uncontrolled, okay, how do we get controlled so we can taper off? Because our body gets used to certain medications, and so after a while, it's like, okay, well, I'm good with this whether I need it or I don't need it. So unless you're a type 1, some medications, how do we stop taking them once our body gets regulated? That's kind of what I'm thinking of is as to how do we get to a spot to where we don't have to rely on a certain medication for the rest of our lives? Right now, we don't have those medications,
Yeah,
but that's just the end goal as to how do we get to a spot to where we could just discontinue. Our body gets regulated, and we can just live a healthy life.
yeah. So what dose are you on currently?
Whew, I've been on 15 for over a month now. That thing is no joke.
Yeah, big 15, huh? Um,
Unfortunately,
and what's your dosing schedule like? Are you doing every 7 days or just when you feel like you need it?
I would say every 7 days, but I'm a late person. I can't lie. So would say realistically every 7 days, but honestly every 8 or 9 days
Yeah, that's
because
what I'm doing
we got
now. I'm on 10, trying to do every 9 days. I'm trying to get back out to 10 days, but I think I jumped to 10 too fast the last time I tried to do it, and it was working for a while. And then I think there was long periods where I think I did it for like 8 weeks, and then the longer I got into that duration, the the medication. I just did a Shotzi app just to compare where the estimated amount of my medication was in my system, and I could see it dropping down below 5. We get down to below 4, and I can feel it that you know it was leaving my system, and I was getting the food noise heavy, and so instead of jumping to 10, I was thinking I'm gonna go back down to 7 and incrementally work my way back up to 10. So I did 8 days for a few weeks or for about a month, and now I've done 9 days for two weeks now. So hopefully I can get back up to 10. I think the incremental approach is working better for me than just jumping all the way up to 10. Hopefully, now ultimately I would want to get to 14 days and go from there, but we'll see how that goes.
So let me ask you this question. How do you feel about and Darian who's in the chat, he's gonna laugh at me about this one. How do you feel about the pen? Because I realize that I'm in a spot right now to where I would much rather have more flexibility when it comes to my dosing. So I guess how do you feel about the pen
I
versus
like
the vials?
I, I like the convenience of the pen. No, I did do compounding for about 6 months, just as an affiliate, and I like the convenience of the pen, but I wish we can dial the dose because I
Ooh,
think I think my issue is that if I drop down, the food noise comes back. If I drop down the dose, the food noise comes back. But if I stay up, then I continue to lose weight unless I do something else like change my workout schedule or not work out or change my dosing schedule. I think probably if I could adjust it to like 8 or 9, that might be a perfect mix for me to manage the food noise and not lose weight. But with the at least with the Eli Lilly version of the pen, you just get what you
yeah.
get. You can't adjust it. So
Yes. So correct me if I'm wrong, because I know the Ozempic pen you can dial it in. Even though I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think if you're on like a certain amount, you could still dial it back some with the Ozempic pen. But I
yeah,
think there's some pens in Canada and other countries for Monjaro to where you can dial it in. Am I correct? Is that what I've been seeing
I
online?
think that may be true. I'm not sure. I know I'm pretty sure that for the Ozempic and Wegovy pens, you can dial them in, and you can do like um, you can like essentially do microdosing from what I understand. Just go buy some
Mhm.
needles and refill the pen. But
See, it
yeah,
would be nice.
I think if I can get an 8 milligram pen, that would be awesome. Mm.
See, that's how I
Um,
felt. I really
yeah,
didn't want to go to 15, if I'm being honest with you. Maybe a 13, maybe a 14, but I never wanted to really jump to that 15 because I don't know, something about it. I don't know if you ever got to 15 or not.
no,
Um, it feels like I'll just say it this way. It feels like you just started a 5, but that's the first dose you ever have taken.
uh,
It
so you just
it
jump
will
right
hit
in,
you.
huh? Yeah,
Oh, yes, sir.
that's how 10 did me the first few weeks. 10 had me on my ass for 2 weeks after the first 3 or 4 days after the injection. Then my body got used to it. Um, so what's your workout routine? And I'm someone that really believes in workout, and I see you at the gym posting videos from going to the gym all the time. Sometimes
My
at 3 in the
workout.
morning,
Oh no, that's not sometimes. That's all
all the
the
time.
time.
Yeah.
That's why I laugh because I go to the gym 6 days a week. I used to do 7, but I was like, hey, I guess you got to rest on the 7th day, as they say. But literally Monday through Friday, I'm up at 2 a.m. I'm at the gym by three. If I'm late between 3 and 3:30. I'm gonna probably leave the gym at sometime between, depending on if I gotta take my mom to the doctor or go do something for work. Leaving the gym between 7 and 7:30. But while I'm there, I am doing some cardio. I am strength training. I'm taking one, two, sometimes maybe 3 classes. And so sometimes that can include boxing, hot Pilates, um, hot core. What else do I take? Some weird classes that I just jump into just because the instructors are like, "Hey, our teacher's class, come on." Honestly, this is going to sound terrible. I hope I can say this, but I am unfortunately a gym class hoe. So I might say I don't want to go, but as soon as the instructor says, come on, I'm just easy. I'm like, okay, I'm coming. So I'm there for hours at a time. My goal each time is okay. I'm gonna tell you the actual goal on my Apple Watch, and then the actual realistic goal that I actually want. Apple Watch, you need to burn at least 1,000 calories while I'm there. It doesn't matter how long it takes me, but before you leave, you need to burn 1,000. When I get to 2,000, that's what I really like. Like
Yeah,
I said, I'm insane. I'm not saying for other people to do that, but I just once I got on the GLP-1, I realized what my body can do. I just kept going further and further and further, and that's kind of what I want to do is keep going further, further and further.
yeah. And how? And you mentioned that you're also doing TRT. How's that helping with your working out and all of that in combination with your GLP-1?
This is for everyone. So if you're a man, if you have a man in your life, I'm letting everyone know this. Um, I thought something was really wrong about maybe a year ago, because I was losing weight, but I wasn't able to gain muscle. So I'm just bouncing looking at those pictures from a year ago. I look sick, and I was like, "What is going on with me?" My lips are going down. Um, a little bit of medication, but it wasn't it. Um, the doctors, especially at a young age, they don't want to address men's low testosterone at a young age, which is irritating. Just like I said, being open and honest, I feel like because I did go through early puberty, so it just feels like everything's kind of crapped out in my 20s. So I get it. You don't want this young man to be on these drugs for a long time, but if I'm not able to gain muscle and then other things are going on, we got to get that addressed. So as soon as I jumped on, like I said, what didn't jump on it to abuse it, but jumped on it because my body actually needs this. Oh, I was firing on all cylinders. Of course, the GLP-1s make you tired, but I'll say this way: I was less tired. I was able to, get up and go, have better sleep. Everything changed in my life. I was actually happier because I know. So I know I walk around like a grump sometimes, but that's just because I feel like it. I'm being funny, but I was not mood wise. I wasn't the best person.
Yeah,
So as a man, you need all those things. You need to be firing on all cylinders. So it changed my life drastically. And now I'm actually able to gain muscle and, not be tired and have a better attitude about things. It's just night and day. I feel like, especially when you first start, you're going to be in this honeymoon stage, to where you feel like you're in high school all over again. Now I just feel like a regular person I'm supposed to be feeling.
yeah,
So, in combination with GLP-1, I'm eating right. Uh, I know I'm worried, not worried, but I'm more, how do I say, I'm more conscious about my body because I know what my body can do, lifting wise. Um, I don't know. It's just now I know what people feel like when they don't have to fight and struggle, if that makes sense.
yeah,
So just
yeah.
use that as a review.
Yeah, listening to your content about it and some other men in the community, and talking to a buddy of mine who's also doing TRT. I I'm going to talk to my doctor about it next month. I have my follow up with my primary next month. I just don't know how it will go for me. I don't know if I'll be able to get it because testosterone feeds the prostate cancer. So um, hopefully I can do it. If not, then try something else. But it's definitely something that I think every man should get tested for. And that, from
Well, I'll
what I'm
say
hearing
this.
about it, yeah. Sorry, what was that?
I would ask them, and because I know they do testing along the way, and so if you wanted to try it with them, just kind of say, hey, what kind of testing do we need to do, along the way, so we can make sure we're being safe with it, even if it's more frequent testing, because it can change your life, but once again, things are more complicated when you had a certain health history, and so as long as you are getting those tests done quite frequently, I tell people, like I said, about a doctor, but I tell people how do I say this, for it to be I wouldn't say the PG version, quote unquote, get off your behind, not you, but other people,
Yeah,
get off your behind and be very, very proactive when it comes to those labs.
yeah,
Very proactive because I hate to say it, but you're a number with some of your doctors. So be on it, be on them. Even if they forget, put it on your calendar. Say, hey, I need to get labs this day. I'm going to be bugging them on this day so I can get it done on this day because it's better to catch something, as you know, it's better to catch something early than catch it later.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That's 100% right there. Now, one reason I was excited to have you on is you've been real transparent about your, for lack of a better term, body issues, sagging skin, and all of that at least over the summer. And I remember a story that you were telling about when you were a summer camp counselor, and you would go out swimming with the campers and without your shirt on because you wanted to be an example for the young men that were participating that were also overweight, so you can take some of the pressure off of them. And you said in that video that you took your shirt off for this video because you wanted to remind yourself of that guy that you were being
Mhm.
an example for those kids. You wanted to be an example for yourself, and you were showing your sagging skin and all of that. How has the journey impacted your body image, your your confidence, and things of that nature?
Well, you're gonna laugh. I had to go back to being the young person that I was. So pretty much that means, growing up, I had a lot of odds stacked against me, but I always would say, you know what, we're just gonna go ahead and try it. We're just gonna jump in the deep end. We're gonna swim. We might drown a little bit. But we're gonna go for it. We're gonna do the things that people say you quote unquote shouldn't be doing. And so I had to revisit that mindset and just jump into it. So honestly, kind of how things have been happening over the summer, and so the people don't know about this part. Um, there are people at my gym that pretty much they just know me at this point, and that's just kind of how I started kind of opening up a little bit as to, for example, those hot classes. It's 100 degrees in there.
Yeah,
It's 100, and I'm gonna phrase it this way. So for everyone that's listening, I would think about it this way: when you're in a sauna, you are in the sauna with the same gender as yourself, or not. Well, yeah, I guess as yourself. So um, some people are the half clothed or whatever, but it's just appropriate. That makes sense. So it just is what it is. You'll see some things in the locker room. In these hot classes, it's as hot as a sauna. However, mainly there's a lot of women in those classes.
yeah,
And so it's one of those things where it's like, okay, how do I gain the courage to go ahead and take this shirt off? Because I'm burning up. This shirt it's done. It's sweating. It's stretching all over the place. I'm still not wearing clothes that I need to be wearing. That's my size. This shirt needs to come off. So it was one of those things as to how are we going to ease into this? You know, we're going to feel a certain kind of way, but we got to jump in and we got to do what's best for us right now, if that makes sense.
yeah,
And so it's pretty much regaining your confidence because people are going to say a lot of things about you in life. But you can't let those things hold you back. So in this situation, and hopefully I can say this, if I can't, let me know if I can't say the T word on here. But at the end of the day, a lot of people, especially when you're a big person, they're always going to say something like, oh, you got titties, you got this, you got that. It just is what it is. And in my head, and you all are gonna probably laugh, but especially when you end up taking your shirt off in a hot class for a whole bunch of women. At the end of the day, I hate to say it, but we all got breasts, and they are gonna move around, unfortunately. That's what it is. So just kind of rephrase some things where it's like, hey, this is my body. I worked hard. It's not where I want it to be. There's no way how I can get it to be where I want it to be, unfortunately, because it's stretched out with all the stuff that I put it through. But I'm going to appreciate myself, and as I keep saying, I'm going to do what's best for me at this point.
yeah,
That's a better way of saying it.
yeah. Sounds like you went through a process of loving yourself this summer. Some of the videos that you made were funny. You put some comedy in there. I appreciate that. But the fact that you were having those conversations and putting it out there and being vulnerable, I really appreciated that because there's not a lot of men, or to my knowledge, there's not any man, especially within the GLP-1 community, that's talking about that aspect of the journey. You know what I mean? And you were putting it out there and starting discussions about it as well. So I appreciate that.
That's what's kind of not irritating in a bad way, but that's just what's kind of irritating is I guess as men we don't talk about a lot of things,
Yeah.
and so my biggest thing is why can't we just go ahead and just talk about it? Because suffering in silence. Because I talk to a lot of people, and unfortunately, that's probably another reason why I'm at the gym so long, is because I'm always talking to people, and sometimes I'll say something that's completely out of nowhere, and then people start joining, like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah." Blah. I'm like, why aren't we having these conversations? because I just feel like we're just always hiding certain things, if that makes sense. So, men, we don't talk a lot about our bodies, but we need to know about things. Like Phil, for example, it's like I'm not going to hold you all. Another reason why I want to get surgery is because my stomach is going over my waistband. So we all have to kind of use our imagination when your stomach is up your waistband and it's a hot summer. Can we talk about how we're trying to quote unquote keep dry underneath our waistband? Because that mess ain't cute, as they say. I forgot who said that, but it ain't cool. So just having these conversations as to what do you do? What do we do with this and that? I grew up. My dad was in my life when I grew up, so certain things I just didn't know. So I'm learning about my body from a female. But when it comes to other men, it's like, okay, well, let's have the conversation, because
Yeah.
there's other people who didn't grow up with a dad. There's other people who just don't know certain things, or you'll be surprised. Some people's households don't even talk about bodies. So I guess that's always been my philosophy is, let's just talk about it. Let's all help each other out as a community.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of this particular platform here is to talk about these things and put it out there for other men to say that it's okay, or even if they're not going to talk about it themselves, they can hear other men talking about it, and maybe that will spark them into action. So, ladies or other men out there, somebody that needs to hear this conversation, please share it. Um, but yeah, I definitely appreciate you putting that out there and in the world to have these conversations. I got a kick out of the one with the triangle. You were talking about the triangle.
Like I said, people aren't talking about it,
Yeah,
and yeah, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about it. Not professionally. Well, I guess yeah, professionally. Um, to the people who do and do not know, once again, you hold fat in a lot of different areas. And so when you are in the mirror, because what's it got, as we're going through these journeys, look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, what's going on here? What do I need to do? Or just analyze what is going on. I laugh because when you look down, you're just like, that didn't look like that before. What can I do? Unfortunately, there is nothing you can do. But once again, we got to talk about it. So you got to be prepared for what you're going to see because, like I said, this is a vulnerable moment. Um, oh wow, this is really about to get one of those things is to if you are partnered, that or you're just out there in the street, you know what your body used to look like. I dealt with that old body for 20 something years. So I know what it looked like. I knew things about it, but this is a new body. So first of all, I'm trying to get comfortable and have the confidence with this new body, but also eventually, just being honest with you, you gotta take your clothes off. What's this be real for your partner? You gotta take your clothes off. So talk about it, figure out what you need to do and figure out, okay, do I need to go get surgery, or is there some kind of exercise I need to do? What are my options? Because you have to feel comfortable in your skin. And when you look at something and you're like, oh, that does not look like how I thought it was going to look like, first of all, warn the others. But second of all, what can I do?
yeah, definitely. You got to be able to love what you see in the mirror. I mean, there's one thing to love what it looks like when you got the clothes on, when you're able to cover things up. But when you take those clothes off and it's just you staring in the mirror, you got to be able to look back at yourself and love it. There's I see a lot of women getting attacked online for having these conversations. Like, I don't know if you follow Amy and Half. Um,
Yes, yes, I do.
yeah, she's always getting attacked, and I think some of it's circular. Because she responds to it, so that feeds into it and grows her platform as well. But she's also talking about her having dysmorphia even at this smaller size, and learning to love her new body. And I don't know if she meant it in a way that she's still trying to lose weight because she still sees herself as a fat person. Um, but she made a couple posts recently about the dysmorphia being real, and then people attacking her because how thin she looks now and saying she looks unhealthy, and she'll respond to it and increase this circular thing. But I haven't seen a lot of men deal with that, and it's probably because honestly we're not having these conversations, um,
Hmm.
and sharing this part of our journey. So I think it's huge that you are doing that, um, and hopefully you'll inspire others to do the same within the community.
So let's talk about that for a little bit. About the dysmorphia. Oh my gosh, that is so real. And so I see why you said that you don't really know if she's still trying to lose weight or not, because you don't stop seeing it. And it kind of messes with you because some days when you see it, you're like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. But then I know it sounds crazy, you'll eat something that's not healthy, then all of a sudden you see that person, that old person again. Or you'll go buy, for example, this was me last week, or well, I lied, 2 weeks ago. I bought cereal. I know that this is going to sound crazy, but it was triggering, even though it's a protein cereal, it was triggering buying cereal because it took me back to the old days to where I would buy a box and it would be gone within a day or two. I would just keep on eating it and keep on eating it. So even though it's healthier, it was protein Cheerios, you can buy at Sam's. Um, it was triggering, and I was like, okay, am I going back to the old me? And then you start seeing the old you. So that's why it was hard for me to say I was quote unquote in maintenance, because in my head I was like, I'm still trying to lose weight because I see the old me, although my shirt size says something different. I still see the old me, so I see
Yeah.
where she's coming from.
I was actually having that conversation in my head today about food. I was short on time, needed to get back for a meeting, so I ran to Popeyes, and
Mhm.
I was having this conversation. I shouldn't be eating this. It's not healthy. And then I'll say, it's just one time. It's not going to hurt you. And then I'll say, no, you shouldn't be eating it. It's going to open up a door. And I said, no, it's just one time. So I had to talk myself through it. And there's still a lot of foods that I try to avoid. But I'll eat some sugar. That's my weakness. I'll eat some sugar real fast and quick. That's my trigger. But there's certain foods that I'll think, no, I can't have that because I'm on this journey and I'm thinking I should be able to eat whatever I want. I shouldn't assign a value to a food, whether it's good or bad. I should be able to eat it in moderation and push the plate away. That's something I wasn't able to do before the medication that I'm able to do now is stop and throw it away if if I don't want to have it for leftovers. And so that's one thing that I really love about this medication is I'm able to stop, throw it away, or push the plate away.
Mhm. It's just a blessing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's just one thing that I absolutely, and I don't know how long this is gonna last. I really don't, but I'm trying to never go back to, and that is McDonald's. Only reason why is because it comes from, I wouldn't say trauma, but when I started working from home, I live outside of the city. I'll say it that way. So there's not a lot of restaurants. There's more coming around, but there's not a lot. So the closest place was McDonald's. I was going to them about 2 to 3 times a day, always eating them. Like I said, working from home, not really moving around. It's definitely during the COVID time, so definitely not outside a lot. Um, that's one place I just cannot go back to. Um, like I said, that's just for bad reasons. But everything else, like you said, moderation. But unfortunately, that's just the one place in my life where it's like I know what I did to myself. We're done. I think I had enough of you all.
I feel you. Real quick, a shout out to and I mean the Mel B for the super chat. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. I got some before and afters here for you.
Whew.
You can see we
So
got
go ahead.
that's a year, almost a year apart. Um, January 2024. You were already on the journey then, right?
Yes, sir. So, and that's what I was going to ready to say. That 2024 was, I guess, about midway. So that was about a full year. I would say maybe a full year, if not 6 or 9 months into the journey. Even though I'm laughing because that shirt was too big and those pants were too big. And then that December, oh man, Whew. Di- completely different man. I'll just say it that way.
I need some more recent pictures. I think December
There we go.
2022.
That December 22. That's the one I was looking for. That one I'm just be honest. I didn't know. I did not know whatsoever. I didn't. this is gonna sound funny, but looking back, there I was like, oh man, like I'm looking good. Like we're doing things in life. I honestly just didn't know. As some people, I heard this from a few female creators. Ain't nobody told me.
And you're
But
looking good. Either and all these pictures you're looking good. You're looking sharp in your December 22 picture and looking good in there. Your September looking ripped. See the veins popping out, and then looking real dapper in your suit there from earlier this year.
yes, sir. And that's why I was laughing because each year we have a hunger action day at the Capitol here in Oklahoma, and I just laughed because I went to that bathroom. I was like, oh wow, this is not the same person because I actually have taken that picture about 3 times in different years. I just laughed. I'm like, oh wow, this is where we are. Even some people look at me that I hadn't seen in a year or two are just like, oh hey, that's you. I'm like, yes, I know. I'm surprised myself. But and I don't know. This is weird. That April 2025 photo. Um, I don't think people really understand it, so I'm just getting them prepared. I know some people are in the chat, and we had some of these personal conversations. When you are a bigger person, when it comes to clothing, it is hard finding clothing that's going to fit you and fit you right, especially suits. And so
And stuff
I
that's
also,
stylish at the same time too.
yes. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent on this one. You're gonna laugh. Shaq came out with some really good suits, and they still are some great suits. I just can't fit them anymore. When he finally came out with some suits, oh, the game changed. You didn't look like an old. No offense to anybody out there. You didn't look like an old person. I mean, they were stylish, but that April 2025 photo, that's something that I was really proud of. Went out, got 2 suits. There's actually a story behind that I'll share later on, but ended up getting 2 suits. And I was like, okay, we're starting over from ground zero. Um, I'm saying it right now because I'm upbeat about it, just because I already went through it. But going through that process, um, I know it sounds crazy, but you feel kind of bipolar. I'll just say it that way. You're happy that you worked on your body and you dropped multiple pant sizes, multiple jacket sizes. Um, but I know some people say, "Oh, go get things tailored." I don't think they realize when you drop over 100 pounds, maybe even over 50 pounds, jackets and suits and stuff like that, you can't go get tailored. They literally will tell you they'll ask for the structure. So I got to a point to where I kind of felt like, I know it sounds crazy, I lost everything. Um, I was hanging on to some things because it was really hard finding pieces when I was not only younger but bigger. Um, so it's like, well, I worked hard to get this suit here. But to be honest, sometimes we have to also get creative with pricing as well. And so I, really did do some things in order to get some of these suits, and now I can't wear them. I have to let them go. Um, it's a weird feeling, and I got to the point where when I let go, I have a pastor friend. I literally told him, "Come on over, go shopping, get what you can get, and leave as soon as possible." um, so pretty much, I don't know. That's just the kind of background behind that story. Is that was one of those photos to where it's like, this is one of 2 suits. We're starting from ground zero, but at the end of the day, we're starting a new life, and it's hard realizing that you're starting over.
Yeah.
I know that sounds weird.
Yeah. All right. One last question for. Oops, wrong one. One last question. You are going through the process of consultation for skin removal. How is that process going for
Oh, it is ghetto. Like I said, things in my life, they're not always like I said, black and white. They're not always easy. Um, so what had happened was I went to my first consultation about 2 weeks ago, and I need to also make a video about this. I know I dropped a hint yesterday on TikTok. Um, I had an ex coworker. At the time, they were a coworker when they told me some of this information, but now they're an ex coworker. they told me about how this doctor was, because we just all of a sudden realized, oh, we're going to the same doctor, but for different things. She was going for more female reasons. I'm going for more skin removal. And so she told me about how things were going to work. I was like, okay, that's a little bit different, but it is what it is. Somehow we ended up meeting at the same doctor's office at the same time. It's like, what? I hadn't seen you in like 3 weeks, and we're here at the same. It's funny, but what ended up happening was everything she said was true. There were some red flags when I got there, of course. I always have medical issues, apparently. One was where you go, because this is a big medical complex, and this particular facility is very well known in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
In fact, it's named after one of the universities. And so the fact of the matter is, it wasn't well, like the actual office itself that's in the medical facility, which is on a big medical campus, wasn't labeled, was kind of a red flag. You get to the office and you're like, okay, this is in the corner, but why do things look this way? I can't describe how they look just in case, but they look very odd. I'll just say it that way.
Yeah.
Uh, Finally get called back. It was funny because I told them, I said, hey, let me use the bathroom here real quick. Where's your bathroom located? Um, and so went to the bathroom and come back because they had to give me a gown. And the staff were in the hallway fighting, which was funny. Um, and then finally, I'm sitting there, and the doctor comes in about 5 minutes later with a staff, which is kind of odd because you kind of got to get people prepared for that. Because although, yes, I'm getting used to taking my clothes off, there's a lot of people that's coming in here. I'm like, this is weird. So he's just like going real quick, taking pictures on his phone, doing all those other kind of things, saying, okay, this, and that, and then left. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird. It's almost like a quote unquote wham bam, thank you, ma'am. But I'm like, okay, this is weird. So I sat there for a while thinking that they're going to come back and say, okay, hey, you're good to go. And then all of a sudden I get a message on my chart, and it's like, oh, hey, your consult, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I guess I am good to go. So this is
Wow.
odd. So they never came back. So that's just the light version of it.
Yeah.
I went back to the lobby because I was going to talk to my coworker a little bit more, because also her family was there too. I hadn't seen her family in a while. And we got to talking, and I said, and I opened up my mouth, and I didn't know I was talking loud. And I said, wow, you were right about what you said about how it was going to go. And then I didn't know, but the woman who was sitting on the right side of me, she was trying to talk to us, but I didn't know because I was angled to the onto the left, talking to the ex coworker. And so she finally leans over the ex coworker and she starts talking to this woman. And so I'm like, okay, whatever, they're having their talk. And then she looks at me crazy and she's like, you need to listen to what you're about to hear. I'm like, what? What do you mean? This doctor has had multiple lawsuits for malpractice, um, all going all the way back to like 2022, and that's just for what you know of that wasn't settled, but that actually went to court. What else did he do? Apparently, there was about three pending litigations, and the woman who was telling us about what was going on, he was doing a breast reconstruction only on one because she had breast cancer. Um, they agreed that he was only going to do one breast. He ended up doing both of them, but he also botched one of them. And then
Wow.
he, of his words, he said, "Oh, that's not my worst work, but that's not my best work." He was like, and he said it's probably like three or four that's been the top worst. And it's like, oh wow, so it was an experience that I learned to not go back. So right now we're still doing the consultation experience, and so we're still, that was the first time it was just was the run through, was the practice. Now we're just looking at other people and trying to see who can go, if they can do what I need them to do. So at least what I did find out through that consultation was I need to get gynecomastia surgery. They need to pretty much cut me in the center and take everything and fold it in, but then that bottom stomach hangoverage, that's a whole nother section that they need to go in and cut off and make flat. So about three sections. They want it, like I said, this is just the first consultation, but he wanted to do it in two goes. And so this is kind of what I found out. So it's an experience that I'm learning. So we're just looking for another doctor to, just kind of see how
Yeah.
comfortable I feel,
Yeah.
because I'm not in
Sounds like you
a
definitely need to get a new one.
yep. Look, I'm not dying on anyone's table. And so I know
No,
even some people in the chat that we had conversations with, I literally told them, like, I'm kind of scared to do this. So, at least I learned the red flags at the beginning versus getting all the way to the end and realizing that I shouldn't have did what I did.
Yeah. Now, is this something that's going to be covered as a medical necessity, or is it something that's they're going to consider cosmetic? If you don't mind me
The
asking.
oh, you're good. I'm open book. The bottom part that I was told definitely the insurance would cover. Gynecomastia, it was he didn't use his words, but this is the words I'm using, 50-50, because especially when your skin hangs, you can have some irritation. So whether it's breakouts or those breakouts can be get infected just because of how the skin is laying and it doesn't. It's kind of, let's just be honest with ourselves. When it comes to skin and sweat, it can not be good. I'll just say it that way. So uh, that one's like a 50-50. But the center part, unfortunately, they don't cover, which I don't know why, because stuff can still get in the way and it's uncomfortable. From what I'm understanding from hearing other people in the community and hearing other things in the plastic surgery community as well, pretty much you need to fight and have a strong case as to things are either getting in the way, you have a lot of skin irritation, discomfort. Pretty much you need to just let them know everything and stress that it's a necessity
Yeah.
so they don't say it's cosmetic. And
All right.
unfortunately, mine is.
You got time for some Q&A?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, y'all. If y'all got some questions, please put them in the comments. Preface them with a few cues so I can identify them. Before we get started now, I want to give a shout out to G's 101 for giving us a super chat. G's was on the show last week, so if you haven't seen his interview, please go back and check that out. Appreciate the G's. Also want to give a shout out to some folks here. Darium is our moderator tonight. Appreciate you, Darium. See, we got D Mel B in the house, Downsizing Diva, Denia, Wood Ricky, Wood Kirky, I should say. Simply Taisha. Love Simply Taisha. She has some great content. So Nia, I need some glass. I need some more glasses, man. Jen F. Appreciate y'all showing up. G's 101. And who else we have? We have Calamity Jane. Appreciate you showing up tonight. I think I saw Bound in Me in here as well. Yep, Bound in Me. Appreciate you for showing up tonight. Appreciate you. And another super chat from Bound in Me. Yeah, appreciate you. Bound in Me has a great channel as well. Please go out and check. If you haven't followed him, please go follow him as well as G's 101 and anyone that I mentioned. Mel B. Sorry, Mel doesn't make content, but G's also great in the community. Downsizing Diva, Simply Taisha, all have great content if you want to go check them out. All right, questions.
I'm just not catching up.
is asking, what was the moment you finally realized you were really overweight? Mine was seeing myself in a holiday picture. Didn't realize it was me.
I'm laughing about this one because I never, like, going back to what I said earlier, I didn't know. Quote unquote, ain't nobody told me. I mean, I knew I was big, but I didn't know I was big. Uh, so I guess it took me losing some weight in order to realize, oh, okay, you were that big. In fact, let me see if I can do this. I can pull up a photo because uh, my homeboy, his wedding. I guess I was going through my iPad and had some photos on it. I was looking. I was like, oh, this is the one of the photos from when he got married. And I looked. I was like, oh my god, I did not know I looked like that. Because, and this is what I mean by like when it comes to suits, because especially when you're in a wedding, you look at it and you're like, okay, I can't wear, everybody else is skinny. I'm not. So what fits on them doesn't fit on me as well. Here we go. And of course, iPhone wants to be weird. So if it comes up, it comes up because now it wants to download the photo after it showed it to me. But yeah, I just didn't know. So looking back on it now, I was like, oh, I'm that big. Yep, but that's not one to download. That's great. You gotta love this new update. Woohoo! Don't update your phone, people.
And mine was a picture as well. I mentioned this a few times. I had went on a cruise and with my wife and some family, and I was hiding from that picture, but I got into I had to take the picture, so I saw the picture afterwards, and I was like, man, what happened? I had two bariatric surgeries, and here I am, almost back up to my highest weight, and that started me on my journey. I first started with some um, with a keto diet, and then discovered the world of GLP-1s and tried to get on Wegovy. And Wegovy was unshorted at the time, so then Zepbound had finally came out, so I jumped on Zepbound.
See, I know this is random, but how'd you feel on Wegovy versus let me phrase it. How'd you feel on a semaglutide versus a trizepatide?
I actually couldn't get on Wegovy. When
Oh,
I
okay. So
when I was it was Wegovy was in a shortage, so it was at the time when Novo was not releasing the 0.25 dose because of the shortage. So the doctor at the time told me it was going to be about 4 to 6 months before they can even start me. And like right after that, Zepbound was released.
mhm.
I think that was had my appointment for Wegovy in November. Zepbound was released in December, and I had my first pen on January 12th.
Ain't that something? You got this prescription, but you couldn't get it, man.
All right. Mel B is asking you, where would you suggest men start when it comes to seeking out hormone therapy? I'm an advocate for women's access to BHRT. Thank you.
Oh man. So I'm gonna say it this way. I don't know how it is for BHRT, but at least with TRT, it's a controlled substance. So uh, I would start with your primary care. If I'm being honest with you, a lot of primary cares don't want to prescribe that or they're not comfortable. Um, Especially because, and I'll honestly phrase it this way, depending on your lifestyle, especially, they don't want to prescribe it because they don't want it to seem like you're trying to use it for performance enhancing. So they're probably going to send you out most of the time to a urologist. So I would just go ahead and start with the primary care, but I don't know too many people who their primary care have uh, taken on that treatment for them. So it's kind of hard. So I don't know how it is for women's health, but at least with men's health, I've been talking to a lot of men. That's kind of what they've been doing. So they had to rather go to whether a urologist or go to I guess a TRT clinic is what they're called.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna laugh. This photo just now loaded, and I just saw it pop up, but it was this photo here. If I could kind of, here we go.
Yeah.
I'm messing up here, but stomach hanging over. I just was not. Here we go. I'm trying to make it look better. I
I
just
can
was
see
not
it.
doing it. Like my neck is the biggest thing. I'm like, what is going on? Fat neck, stomach hanging over. I was not comfortable either. So you just keep on getting these reminders as to, oh, you were that. Oh, okay. We didn't know we were that big.
Yeah. Actually, I my one of my college teammates sent me a picture. We went to a football game in 2012, and I'm gonna have to post it because man, I was I was looking bad.
And like I said, we can look back now and say it now, but
Yeah.
other than that, back then we thought we was doing it.
All right, Bound and Me has a great channel. If you haven't followed him already, please go up and check him out. And he's asking, how have people treated you differently since the weight loss business and personal?
We're going to talk about business, and then we're going to go to personal, since I love to talk about my personal life. Apparently, business wise, I don't think anything has changed, other than I guess just because of people met me in a certain space in my life. Um, Honestly, because of kind of what I work with, where I work at, there's a lot of truck drivers. So honestly, just kind of inspiring some other people in a professional way to do things differently in a warehouse setting. But business wise, things haven't really changed. Personal, I learned something that I unfortunately didn't want to know, and I'm actually heard this again last week. Like I said, I talked to a lot of people. Just been honest with you. So at the gym, I keep getting these comments as to, and I already knew that's how it was when I was losing weight. Oh, I would have dated you when you were bigger. So a lot of them
Mm.
keep saying that, and it's like that's kind of messed up when you think about what you just said, because you're saying that you like big dudes, and I was, I was in arrangements with people who like bigger people. So once I started losing that that weight, those relationships were falling off. It, depending
What
on
they call
who's
them?
in your life.
What they call
Sorry,
them?
go ahead.
Chubby chasers.
Yes, it's honestly a terrible feeling once you realize that people actually don't like you for you. Well, not people, not everyone, but like there's a certain group of people who don't like you for you. It's like you for quote unquote having big old man titties, quote unquote, and having a big old stomach, and it's like that doesn't make me feel the best.
Yeah.
So that's another thing is trying to find your new people, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
who you thought were your people weren't your people.
Bound also said that he just started TRT and he went to the urologist, but he's now in a clinic. So I
See,
don't know.
I I looked in some of those clinics. That's something that's really great is they do specialize in hormones. So I know some urologists, they're kind of mixed together. So it's pretty cool how some of those clinics are just like, this is all what we do. This is our bread and butter. We know what we're doing.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? I don't see any cues.
Now, on that last question, and if you can put in the chat, um, if you are planning on having kids, do you have a plan for HCG? Because that's another thing that people don't really talk about when it comes to hormones is because you're taking in external testosterone, it's pretty much telling the testicles, hey, we don't have to really make a lot of testosterone here, and so you don't want to put them completely to sleep to where it messes with your fertility. So I've been telling a lot of people like, hey, make sure you have that fertility plan just in case. And so at least that's why I've been cycling as well as ACG. So like just kind of wakes them up to say, hey, we're still here, we're still going. Um, so I don't know anybody else that's on it. Just kind of ask your doctor about it, because like I said, I plan on having multiple kids. Don't know how many. If the Lord would, he could bless me with 12. I wouldn't care. But I just want to make sure I have that fertility plan.
You were asking Bound that question, right?
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah.
So feel free to drop in the chat. And while we wait for that, any other questions?
No cues. No other questions.
Perfect. I don't know if you can see people bubbling or not because this platform is new to me, so
No.
I'm not used to being able to not comment.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I guess we'll wrap it up. Just some house cleaning items. I next week, same time, on Tuesday next week, I have Jess. Jess is a follower on Instagram, and he just recently started his journey on the GLP-1. He started out at 588 pounds, and he is seeing great success. I believe he is down um, below the. I'm not sure how far he's down yet, but he started at 588, and I think he's on his first month of. He just completed his first month of Zepbound, so he's real excited. Uh, and Bound says,
All that he said, no more kids.
"I don't want no more kids."
Well, I'm
So
gonna say it this way: if you feel any sensitivity or see any size difference, look into it as well. And I'll be quiet.
all right, he did. He has a follow up question. Have you noticed any plateaus or setback, and how did you handle?
Man, and I don't know if it's even a true plateau. but I was losing consistent weight before I jumped on the TRT. But of course, you're putting on muscle mass, so the scale went crazy. That or didn't move at all. I don't know if this is even considered a plateau. I don't know how to explain it, but my because I went from a medium to a small when it comes to a shirt, and it's weird because my weight has not changed, but my pant size has. But of course, that's you're putting on muscle mass, but I'm still losing a little bit of fat. So as far as plateau goes, it's hard to explain if that makes sense
Yeah,
because of you're trading off one for the other.
yeah. Yeah, you weren't
So I don't
you were
know.
plateauing as far as weight, but your body was still recomping. So yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
So it'll mess with you because you're just like the scale's not moving, but these pants don't fit.
he's saying that he's since he started TRT, he's been installed, and it's probably that he's putting on muscle.
Yes. And I think it's the Dexo scans. That or there's another scale to where I'm gonna explain this weird, but you hang on to like two handles. Then you put with your bare feet. You're on it, and it scans your body, and it shows how much muscle and how much fat and trunk size, all the other kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Those are super helpful, especially when you are taking TRT and GLP-1 at the same time.
yeah, definitely. I'm overdue for a DEXA scan. Uh, Way overdue.
Because there's two different kinds. So correct me if I'm wrong. There's one where I think you're getting on like a table. I think I could be wrong, but then there's the other one that you're hanging on. So which one
There,
have you had?
I've had the actual DEXA scan where you're laying on a table, but you're talking about there's a scale that it's like I forget the name of it. There's in-body scan. Thank you, Mel B. In-body scan that does that.
Anybody skis.
Yeah,
So those things are super helpful. I know Crunch Fitness. I don't know about all of them, but they should have those as well. Um, they'll like I said, that's a $10,000 machine right there that people don't know
yeah,
about. So if you can use them as much as you can.
yeah, definitely. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. I appreciate it, and I also want to thank Jhonhenri for joining me tonight. If you are interested in following him, I have put his TikTok and Instagram accounts in the description of this video. Again, same time next week. I'll have Jess. Jess is going to be a great story as well. And I went back and forth about doing this, but I'm just going to put it out there. I did open up memberships. I'm still learning about that. So no pressure there. So if you want to join as a member, that option is available now. I appreciate you all. I thank you all for the super chats, the Mel B, G's 101, and Bound and Me. Appreciate you all. And I thank you all for joining me tonight. And hopefully we'll have you back next week. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.